Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called Where Are You in the Evolution of Your Consciousness? How to Accelerate Your Growth Through 7 Stages of the Soul's Journey. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network, and I'm really thrilled to be with you here, getting to explore the frontiers of consciousness with a really fascinating spiritual teacher and pioneering thinker. Her name is Jeddah Mali. She's the founder and executive director of Intelligent Life, and she's really been doing some very deep work on analyzing the deep structures of how we evolve. And when we understand that, we can actually navigate life better and accelerate our growth into new stages of awakening and transformation. So we're going to get to explore with her here today. And if you like what you hear, we're going to have a chance to go much deeper with Jeddah in a brand new course called Mapping Consciousness: Accelerate Your Spiritual Growth Through the 7 Stages of Your Soul's Journey, that will really take this into much deeper applications in your life. So more to come on that towards the end of the hour. So Jeddah, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Well, it's been a while. We made a nice connection quite some years ago, but I'm excited to hear what you're going to share today. But first, let's start with a little bit of your journey and your backstory that led you to the insights that we're going to be exploring more deeply today.
Well, when I was young, I had many unusual experiences. And I guess nowadays I would probably categorize them as spiritual experiences, but at the time they just felt very normal and natural, and they happened spontaneously. And they made me curious about the role of energy in determining our perception and our experience of life. And I couldn't language it at that age, but I did realize that there was much more to life than meets the eye, and certainly that most people around me seem to be navigating life, responding to the surface impression. And what I was seeing and experiencing at that young age was more the underlying structure of life and how you could interact with it. So in my early 20s, I went to Asia and I studied yogic and Vedantic philosophy. I studied Buddhism. I studied a little more into my 20s. I studied anthroposophy, which is the study of spiritual science. And particularly through yogic and Vedantic philosophy and Buddhism, there's a lot of theory, but there's even more practice. So I went through thousands of hours of exploring my inner landscape, and it gave me access to the inner workings of life, the inner workings of my own being, and the inner workings of life, which are one and the same thing. And I saw the role of energy in not only the creation of life, but also human thinking and behavior and how we develop. So I wanted to distill that learning into a simple, accessible format that could be shared with other people, to allow them to have a simpler and more direct access to the foundational energy of life, so that people themselves could grow and evolve and have more agency in their own development rather than be at the mercy of life, really consciously interact and co-create with life, and realize their potential. So intelligent life is really the vehicle for that work in the world, especially our core curriculum, which is called the model of life, where it looks at the structure and the nature and the function of existence
Mm.
and how we as human beings interact with that.
Well, that's a great journey that you've had to get to this point, and I want to sort of focus a little bit on this agency and really understanding where we are, so we know where we go next, and why that sort of understanding of ourselves in a journey is so important to really make the right moves, open in the right directions, and accelerate our growth. So first, maybe share a little bit about, like, your understanding of these different stages and how those unfold over the course of a lifetime or multiple lifetimes, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So our evolutionary path is really our relationship to the energy of life. So the energy of life is spread out across a spectrum of frequencies, and it gives rise to both non-manifest and manifest life. In order to live well, we have to have a conscious relationship with that energy. So as we evolve, our consciousness, which is our tool to access and interact with life and with energy, passes through a series of stages or levels. And at each stage or level, your perception and therefore your experience of yourself and life is governed by that particular frequency. And during that time in that frequency, as we are progressing and evolving, we're presented with certain challenges and tests and lessons. And these are designed to develop our conscious awareness of how life is in that particular frequency bandwidth. And so by the time we've passed through all 7 stages, it means that our consciousness has become very well rounded. We've learned how to interact with energy. We've learned how to direct it. We've learned how to understand our experience, and we've also learned how life itself is structured. So when we understand our own being, it gives us far greater understanding and consideration, empathy, and compassion for others as well. Not only other human beings, but all forms of life. So it really anchors us and orients us into the full manifest expression of life, passing through these stages until such time as we are able to master all 7 levels and become complete.
Hmm. I love that perspective. And do you want to lay out the 7 stages and how we can kind of nuance our understanding of where we are?
Yeah, so the first level, and so as we go through these 7 stages, bear in mind that they are all distinct frequency bandwidths. So consciousness is um, exploring and navigating and experimenting with these different frequency bandwidths. So the first one um, is the survival level. And then we're looking at how this, the energy in this level is the densest it's going to be, it's the slowest it's going to be for our consciousness. And at that level, we're looking at how to navigate the sort of gritty end of the human spectrum, certainly as it manifests on this planet. We find that it produces the stages of our learning where we're really having to get to grips with our physicality and how to operate within our own being. By the time we move to the second stage, which is around security, we're learning to operate a little bit more in alignment with others. And so this is the realm of emotions too, the second stage, where we're learning how to understand and navigate our own emotional life. The first stage being more around our physical um, incarnation. So by the time we get to the third level, this level we've characterized, our terminology is it's the power level because it's a lot to do with the mind. And so now the soul starts exploring the role of the mind in creating its own experience. Now, these first 3 levels, these first 3 stages of our growth are not particularly conscious for us. And because of that, that's where we lay down a lot of misunderstanding. It's also where we tend to form a fixed identity of who we believe we are, which we present to the world. It's not until we get to the fourth stage, the stage of connection, where we start to see that there's more to life than meets the eye, as I did when I was younger. And we're really starting to now include the bigger picture into our understanding of life. And this is when the heart starts to open, and the presence of those heart forces in the soul's understanding and the human being's understanding is that it gives you a very different perspective. You start to look out on the world with new eyes. You start to look within with new eyes and see that there's other aspects of being that maybe haven't been accessed up until now. So the connection level is an important level. And for most people, it's sort of the beginning of their spiritual exploration, where they start to look into meditation or some other modalities, and they start to understand the non-manifest as well as the manifest. Then the next stage after that is well, the next 3 stages after that, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, are characterized more by us relating to subtle energy and looking more at the nuance of subtle energy and how we can interact with that, as well as developing away from a sense of fixed ego identity and starting to see ourselves more as collective energy beings that are part of the bigger picture of life. So the fifth stage we've characterized as the mission stage, because there we develop quite naturally a sense of duty. We want to be of service. We want to make a contribution. We we value, the clarity and the stillness of life after we've been through those early stages with perhaps a lot of drama or struggle or power games, and then moving into that sort of gentler phase of the heart. In the fifth, we're really refining that understanding a lot more. By the time we get to the sixth stage, this is quite an evolved stage. It's quite a elevated frequency, and that's where we're really able to start to co-create with life on a much bigger level. Um, we understand the dynamics of human incarnation. We've learned how to connect into life in a consistent and reliable way. And we've learned that we want to be of service and support others in their journey. And now we're, let's say, collaborating with life on a much wider and bigger and higher level. And the final stage is one that we call unity. And that's where the whole journey comes to fruition. So the soul has learned many things. It's become very well rounded. And that's really where we demonstrate our mastery, and we take up a role as being um, a benevolent influence in life and supporting the unfolding design and the unfolding divine plan. So when you can see, the journey is quite stretched out from where we started, where we're much more concerned about ourselves and our physical life. We have our own agendas, to where we end up. It's a long journey.
Hmm. Well, it's beautifully mapped out and clearly has a lot of resonance with different systems like the chakras. And so I would love for you to just kind of share a little bit about how to think of ourselves. Are we sort of primarily at one stage of the journey, but we still have some aspects that need attention at earlier stages? It's sort of, or is it kind of more of like we're kind of needing to build the foundation first before each next new stage?
It's actually both, Stephen. And that's because we do need to complete each stage before we can go on to the next. And that's because if our consciousness was to start to access higher frequencies before it was ready, it would be very disorientating, very discombobulating. And we wouldn't be able to operate in that frequency. So we do need to complete our lessons before our soul fully moves on to the next stage. But we are allowed to come back and refine our understanding of those earlier stages from the perspective of later stages. So I'll give you an example that maybe we've learned in the first stage that the sort of dog eat dog world of survival um, doesn't hold any interest for us anymore, and doesn't work for ourselves or others. But maybe we've retained some kind of um, subtle fears or subtle beliefs around ourselves from that stage. So even though we've mostly moved on to the security level, the power level, and beyond, it may be that there's subtle imprints left in our field, and those we can come back around and recalibrate in the light of what we now know.
Hmm. So let's talk a little bit more about navigating these stages and working with energy, because I know that's really central to our whole relationship with energy shifts at different stages. And so maybe share a little bit more about that and why that's really a key skill to build too.
Mm. Well, the foundational laws of subtle energy guide the structure, the nature, and the function of everything that exists. And so those laws give us a template for not only the design, but our interaction with it. So, what we did at Intelligent Life was to uh, formulate those laws, to study the laws through one's own experience, and then to try and codify them and create a framework whereby we can understand energy and also interact with it. So the understanding of energy is first, in our system, teaching system at least, theoretical. So we lay out how energy is designed, what its structure is, how it behaves, and then we take that into an experiential component where you try that out for yourself. When you interact with the 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 foundational energy of life, you get to see that it is incredibly intelligent, it is malleable, it is suggestible, and you start to see that not only is everything in life made from this energy, but that you yourself are too. And if you can learn how to access it consciously, you see that it is an incredible medium for co-creation, that this energy is able to take up our thoughts, our beliefs, our intentions, and instantly create an experience for us that we feel as our inner felt sense. So navigating through life with this conceptual understanding and experiential understanding allows us to look behind the surface impression of what we see and what we say and what we do. And I think for most people, this is incredibly exciting, it's encouraging, and they feel that they are, I think the word is connected, connected and aligned. There's this incredible sense of fulfillment being able to connect into this energy and be able to work with it consciously.
Hmm. How does this working with conscious energy help us navigate different life challenges in a different way? Sort of see obstacles or blocks or things that might feel like they're impeding us in a different light.
Well, I see life's challenges as essential stages for growth. So they're necessary, but they're also incredibly helpful. Now, of course, when we experience um, challenges and issues and problems, we aren't terribly thrilled. It doesn't feel particularly comfortable. And yet, when we look back over our life and we see some of the more difficult things that we've passed through, um, we can really see how they've contributed to our present understanding and who we are. And many people say that, they wouldn't do it differently if they were given the chance because of the value of those lessons. So we, especially when you start to see your challenges as um, feedback from the design of life, that the way you're interacting with the energy um, is from a place of misunderstanding rather than understanding. Once we have that within our being, we don't take it so personally. We don't view it as a punishment or a failure, but we start to see that they're invitations to step more fully into our abilities. It's just natural feedback from the system showing us that we need to bring greater consciousness, or perhaps we need to interact with the energy in a slightly different way.
Hmm. Well, this is a really great context and understanding for us, and I wonder if now would be a good time to do a bit of an experiential where we take it and ground it.
Sure, sure, sure. So we'll close our eyes and bring the attention into the breath. And just allow the breath to be slightly longer and deeper and slower. And see if you can find that rhythm of breath that just naturally and effortlessly brings you into a calm and settled state. And when you notice that you're able to hold your attention within your being, keeping your consciousness steady, then you can release the breath and allow it to turn to its natural depth and rhythm. And so we transfer our attention from the breath and bring it into our interior landscape, our interior world. And in this world of our inner being, we may be presented with visuals, thoughts, feelings, sensations. Just allowing all of those to be as they are, without needing to change them, but also not needing to involve our consciousness in them. It's knowing that these inner impressions are just the surface manifestation. Deeper energy which has been formed into a vision or a thought or a feeling or a physical sensation. And now we allow our conscious attention to sink into our experience a little more deeply, going past the surface impression and starting to notice the presence of energy. Paying close attention, you notice that your whole inner world is really the presence and the expression of energy. You may feel tingling, pulsing. You may feel a gentle sense of opening. Just noticing that everything to do with our being is the result of the presence of energy. And once we start to interact with our being, from our physical body right across our energy field, from the densest to the subtlest frequencies. We see that our entire being is a dance of energy. Now let us sink even deeper, and holding our conscious attention steady, start to drop into the energy itself, the presence of the energy itself. Holding that in your conscious attention. And you begin to notice certain characteristics about the presence of energy. Notice there is a subtle but clear sense of expansion, of spaciousness. And this is why our interior space does not feel as if it is squashed into our body, but transcends the boundaries of the physical body and appears and feels to be much more spacious than our physical body would suggest. You may also notice that this energy is inherently light. And even the physical body, which is the densest of our energy bodies, feels much lighter and freer once we interact with the essential lightness of energy. And there is a natural levity and illumination right at the heart of this energy. It's very fabric, it's very core. And then finally, let us also notice that this energy is essentially harmonious. It does not carry within it a sense of conflict or opposition. These qualities are always introduced by the mind. The energy itself is always in a state of harmony. And this is what gives it a sense of beauty, a sense of good. Now holding those three aspects, those three properties together: expansion, light, and harmony. Here we have arrived at the essence of our being, the essence of the energy of which we're made, the essence of life. And now you can lay onto this energy whatever quality you wish to experience, whether that be love, joy, trust, goodwill, or peace, Just hold that quality within your being and notice that the foundational energy of life picks up that intention and is able to pattern itself in such a way as to bring that quality to life. And as you notice that, so you experience it. Now this energy would pick up fearful, greedy, or hateful thoughts too, and manifest those for us within our experience. But the essential nature of this energy means that it is predisposed towards those qualities that bring greater good, greater beauty, and greater peace to ourselves and all beings. And so we each carry responsibility for what we hold within our being and what we order by way of our experience. And if we follow this energy, we follow the design, the nature, and the function, it leads us into ever greater levels of expansion and light and harmony. So our destiny and our design perfectly compatible. And now deepen the breath. And just before you open your eyes, just become conscious of your inner state now. Now spending just a few moments connecting into the energy of life, understanding and experiencing its true nature. The profound effect it can have on your being, even within a few short minutes. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was lovely. And how do you recommend continuing to build on that and understand more about where we are in our evolutionary journey and where to go next?
Well, it's not, as we've seen through that experience, our energy is always accessible, always available. It's not that, sometimes it feels as if it's absent, but it never is. And so it's up to us to, excuse me, to remember that and to consciously connect into it. So if we have an experience that we're not enjoying, that we understand that there will be something that we're doing in that moment to create that experience, and to take responsibility for slowing down, taking a moment, getting quiet, connecting into the energy, seeing and remembering, experiencing what it's predisposed to express, and then aligning to that. So the the basic rules of interaction are the same no matter the frequency it's in. But depending on the stage of our journey, certainly in the early stages, our our experiences can be quite visceral, particularly in the survival and security and power levels. And the strength and the dominance of the sensations that are produced tend to overwhelm us. So it takes a little moment to uh, develop a steadiness of consciousness to be able to interact on those levels without um, going unconscious.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense. Do you want to speak about some of the other influences on the core patterns that we create? We said we would talk about lineage, biology, karmic imprints, how that feeds into this overall system and understanding.
Yeah. So it's not just the case that we come here, we're made of this energy, we set off on our life path and learn our lessons. There are many uh, individual but also collective influences that shape the overall experience of the soul in that particular incarnation. So some of these include, and there are many, but the most uh, prevalent ones are that we come from a certain family line. We all do. We're all born of a mother and a father, and so we have rolling down that family lineage genetic coding, which is going to give us a predisposition towards certain traits, towards certain uh, physical appearance, as we know, but also um, certain physical conditions, like our health condition. So it's not that every single one of those will manifest, but it does give us a predisposition. And if we don't understand, particularly the influence on our health or some of the patterns that have come rolling down through our family line, we can tend to feel that, why am I not getting this? Why am I not able to overcome a particular health condition or a particular um, family behavioral pattern? Like if maybe we come from a long line of controlling mothers or something like that, or maybe we are a little shy and timid and we don't stick up for ourselves or advocate for ourselves. These things can come down through the family line, and they're much more impactful on the individual than we give them credit for. So it's just something to bear in mind. But we can work with that. The more conscious we become, the more we can mitigate those influences. There's also karmic imprints that happen. Now, for many, I've been teaching for 35 years, and I only just recently started to use the word karma because I didn't want to imply, oh, well, it's your fault that you've got a certain experience or a certain condition. But actually, karma for me is more around our unfinished lessons. So as we evolve, any unfinished business from our previous incarnations gets carried over into this one. That's a fairly well understood concept. But because we don't consciously carry the memory of those lifetimes, we can be a little confused or disappointed as to why things are showing up in this present life that we didn't intend and we've worked hard to avoid. And yet, if something is happening within our being and being manifest in our life, it's helpful to remember that it's not you, but it is yours. And I think that phrase um, helps us to remember that if it's happening to us, it means it's something that we have to respond to. It's as simple as that. And that allows us to release self-judgment and take a more empowered responsibility for our development.
Beautiful, Jeddah. Well, I really appreciate the depth of your reflections and the wisdom of your approach. So I want to spend some time now talking about how people can go deeper with you and really apply some of these insights in a way that liberates more consciousness, healing, and growth. So Jeddah's agreed to teach a brand new course for Shift. It's called Mapping Consciousness. Accelerate your spiritual growth through the 7 stages of your soul's journey. You can find it at the URL mappingconsciousness.com, mappingconsciousness.com. It's a 7-week program, and there are no prerequisites for this. It's just if you're sparked and curious and want to go deeper. So, Jeddah, I'd love for you to share some of your intentions for what people will come away with, and then let's go through the modules and give it, a taste of what you're going to be teaching.
Mm. Well, really, the overall intention for this course is to lay out that framework that I've been talking about, to give people the understanding and the tools to be able to utilize it for themselves, understand their own development, understand the specifics of their development, because obviously all of our paths are different. And to come away from this course feeling that they can really navigate their own life well and competently and confidently.
Module 1 is called Discover the Soul's Learning Journey to Gain Clarity and Direction.
Yeah. So this, we haven't talked about this yet, but there's 7 levels of our conscious evolution. We created a map with those levels on it and with 12 indices as well. So the 12 indices go into the specific aspects of your life and how they develop over these 7 levels. So we're going to be introducing in module 1, we're going to be introducing that system and looking at the stages, but also looking at the indices of the map. And so we can see the overall purpose of the soul's journey and how we actually develop over time. We'll also be going more into those hidden influences affecting your progress and how you can turn them into generative life lessons, and how this journey of conscious evolution can help you to inspire yourself to new and better choices. And so you can see, because the map is laid out and filled in, you can see the stages and you can see what's coming ahead of you. So it gives you this encouragement to access that latent potential within you, knowing what you're able to produce with it.
Module 2, Move Beyond Survival Mode to Build Inner Safety.
Yeah, so this is where we start the exploration of these 7 key stages and how they apply to us personally. So level 1 is around survival, as we mentioned earlier, with its focus on the challenges of physical life. And the experiences we encounter at this level leave a lasting impression on our being, because it's the first stage of our development where a lot of our soul impressions are getting laid down. And also because, as I mentioned, it can be a very visceral time in our learning journey. So with this level, the survival level, the soul is learning one of its most important lessons, which is the foundational relationship to self and how that produces the perceptions and beliefs we carry through life. So we look at the experience of fear and all of its derivatives, because this shows up a lot in this survival level. And then we'll learn how to respond to that, how we face each of our tests and challenges and move more into a sense of safety, so we don't feel as if we are just got our noses pressed up against the difficulties of life.
Module 3, cultivate inner security to experience emotional stability.
Yeah, so here in level two, the security level, the soul is shifting from a primary perception of physical form to explore the realm of feeling and emotion. And even though there's nothing inherently wrong with feeling and emotion, um, in our early stages of development, because emotions are constantly shifting, it can be unsettling for us. And and so we develop these um, responses and reactions to try and create some kind of continuity, but often the unresolved fears from the survival level are met by trying to seek emotional comfort and security in this security level. Um, and so that can, drive a number of different behaviors. So we're going to explore the mechanics of emotion and the effect it has on your being and how you can meet it, and also identify where we might have outsourced our sense of security and comfort to external sources such as people, possessions, places, maybe even food and substances, technology, common ones. And and through this, when we meet this level consciously, we can develop a sense of satisfaction and sufficiency. These are really the core lessons of this level.
Module 4, access your subconscious mind to dissolve limiting patterns.
Yes, so we mentioned earlier that the third stage of development is really starting to become more familiar with the role of the mind. The mind has many aspects to it. There's the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious, the superconscious, but we're only aware or partially aware of the conscious aspect. Even that isn't online all the time. So a lot of activity in the mind goes unnoticed, so we don't realize we're creating our own experience. And particularly coming out of the experience of the first two levels, say the physical struggle, emotional instability, it can leave us with limiting beliefs about ourselves and others and the world around us, that are stored in our subconscious. So, this third stage of our development and this fourth module is really looking at the underlying mechanics of the mind and thought and belief and how that creates our personal experience, but also how the unprocessed beliefs live in our subconscious and how to work with that. The goal is to help us step into the true nature of the mind. And this is probably one of the most surprising and satisfying experiences on the learning journey, where you see that far from the mind being something that is just, chattery and dominant and wayward and it's hard to train, that the true nature of the mind is something that is clear and open and light, very similar to the expansion, light, and harmony that we experienced in the practice earlier, and is actually an incredible tool on our soul, in our soul's evolution.
Module 5, move beyond ego identity to live with greater connection.
Yes, so this is where we start to look at how survival and security and power, um, in those stages, the soul is exposed to the foundational challenges that shape our sense of self that we carry through life. But here in this stage, there's a significant shift in emphasis. And this stage is where we, as I mentioned before, there's a degree of soul searching, and we start to question that fixed identity, and we become much more open to alternate views and perceptions. So in this module, we're looking at the old beliefs that we might have carried about our being, and how we can recalibrate them and reperceive ourselves as a result of our growing relationship to energy. What can we take away from our understanding of energy that can repurpose our identity? And common characteristics of this stage are acceptance and consideration and discernment in what we give our attention to. So we start to feel more at home in our being, more connected to life itself. So we're going to learn how to shift from ego identity to soul identity, and to really express our true nature in our everyday life, so we can foster that sense of belonging and freedom and connection that we spoke about.
Module 6, align with your higher nature to embody your true mission.
Yes, this is a very beautiful stage. So we mentioned earlier when we talked about the mission state, this is where we become much more aware of subtle energy and the truth of existence, and therefore the way we move through life is fundamentally different. So we're able to stay intentionally present and steadily conscious. So this is where we start to compute all of our experiences in a new light, and we're going to practice looking through the surface appearance of physical and mental and emotional phenomena into the underlying reality that's giving rise to them. And we'll learn how to fine-tune our perception of reality, how to let go of old identity imprints, how to reimagine your life from a higher perspective, and foster a sense of collectivism and contribution, which are key qualities of this stage.
Module 7, realize your true nature to co-create your life.
Yes, so earlier we mentioned that this level is where we become a true co-creator with life. And so we'll practice aligning our being to higher will, higher intelligence, higher love, and being able to radiate constructive power and wisdom and benevolence as a result. So this module will also be looking into how we become an instrument of the divine in all we think and say and do. And so we can really deeply take responsibility for the way we interact with energy and what we create, but also look at how everything that we experience within our being is affecting the collective. And so we can learn how to be more of a conduit for our true inner nature. So that we'll be looking at higher states of conscious awareness, how to access and introduce elevated states into your energy field so that you can rewrite some of the patterns there. And we'll also be accessing the higher self so that we can start to look out on the world through the eyes of the higher self. And it gives us a very, very different perception of ourself and life, and foster this sense of ongoing trust and harmony, which is available to us in that particular frequency.
And finally, module 8, map your conscious evolution to reveal your true potential.
Yeah. So here in this one, we're going to tie up all of our learning from the previous session. So we're going to use that map that I've created, which is now developed as a technology application. And we'll be charting our own being. So you'll be charting your own being across the 7 levels of development and those 12 indices that I spoke about. Not only that, we'll be logging our potential self, our usual self, and our limited self. So we can see the range of perspectives that we step into and that we bring into our own human experience. So this mapping exercise will give you a snapshot of your current state of your consciousness, and where you can draw on your potential for greater understanding and the next stage of your development.
Hmm. Well, it's a really beautiful offering that you've created that's really grounded in so much deep understanding, cross-cultural work, study, and practice. And so you are really offering something that's very valuable. So again, it's all at mappingconsciousness.com. I'll share a few other things about it. So if you choose to move forward, you're going to get not only those 8 90-minute live sessions with Jeddah, which are each going to have practices and Q&A time. You'll also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts. There's weekly practices for home. There's a community group to support you and deepen your experience, as well as small group time to connect with other participants and do the practices together. In addition, there's also a number of bonuses that Jeddah has been very generous with. There's an app called Intelligent Life Mapping Subscription, conscious awareness development tool from Jeddah Mali. There's a second bonus video that's actually 12 full sessions of called Mapping Our Human World tutorial. You want to share more about that?
Yeah, so this is where we examine human thinking and behavior from a collective perspective. So there's 12 sessions in this, and each session we take an aspect of human life and we examine it through the lens of the map, and to look at what are the inputs that need to happen into the collective system in order for us to produce the current state of our media, the current state of our governance, the current state of our relationship to money or faith. So it's a really interesting exploration and seeing how everything that happens in the collective is the result of billions of micro inputs from all of us human beings who live here. And it helps you see, um, we for each session we go into what are the changes we need in our thinking and behavior in order to evolve that aspect of life into one that is, truly beneficial and serving. So we look at the current state, and then we also look at how that can be transformed. So that's mapping our human world.
Hmm. That's a great bonus. And then there's one final bonus, which is super generous. It's actually a 12 video bundle from Jeddah called Making Peace course. So it's a full extra course that you get as a bonus if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. It's our way to give you an extra encouragement to really take the time to tune in with the page and what you've heard today and make your decision. And again, it's all at mappingconsciousness.com. And Jeddah, you want to share more about today's special bonus, the Making Peace course?
Yes, so it probably comes as no surprise that making peace with yourself, really deeply understanding your being and operating within your being in a way that is beneficial to you, is also beneficial to the collective. So we've taken making peace as the theme. And so making peace with self leads to making peace with others, which leads to making peace with the world, which leads to making peace with life. So there's a talk, there's a guided meditation, there's an integration session for each of those stages in making peace, making 12 sessions in all.
Hmm. That's a great extra reason to sign up right away. So clearly, this is going to be such a valuable program. We've kept the investment very accessible for you. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start April 15th and run Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, which are also great times for all the folks in Europe. Even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community. There's some great testimonials of Jeddah and her work and the dedication and the gift for nuance and distilling complexity into elegant practices. So you're really in good hands, and I'm sure you will come away with great benefits. So again, all the details are at mappingconsciousness.com, and you will get that special 12-part Making Peace course when you sign up by midnight tonight. So Jeddah, we're at the end of our time. Anything that still is on your heart you haven't shared that you want to with folks who are considering doing the full course with you?
I would say that we are, our potential is far greater than we can imagine, even if we have a fertile imagination. And there's no lack of wanting different outcomes. But if wanting enough was alone, we would all be where we wanted to be. And so taking our heart's desires, our heart's intent, and learning how to make that a reality is really worthwhile. We are made of this beautiful substance of energy, and we are designed, even our physical body is designed to express it fully. So that's what we want to share.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jeddah, and thank you all for joining. Many blessings to you all, and look forward to seeing many of you in Jeddah's upcoming course. And again, it's all at mappingconsciousness.com, and you'll get the Making Peace course when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you.